Blue Nudes, the Blue Nude Migration. I initially, the poems in this book were an ekphrastic series. I was responding to Henri Matisse and his Blue Nude cutouts. And I just have always really loved those. And I started, writing about these blue nudes, and they kind of took on a life of their own, and started wandering around the world, and I was writing about that. And I also have a handful of poems in here where I'm responding to other artists or other artists' works. So it's a huge theme in the book. And then my sister, I showed her. I remember it. I can't remember exactly how it happened, but the way I remember it is I showed her the poems because we share work with each other, and she said, oh, I don't remember if I asked her or if she asked me, but somewhere along the lines she decided to do some paintings to match up with the poems. And I really love that there is there's this interesting progression of how the poems were responding to artwork, and then there's artwork responding to the poetry, and that you could see how them in conversation with each other. So, and okay. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Blue Nude, Chapter 1. It has bothered me all my life that I don't paint like everybody else. Henri Matisse. We do not pretend to know what she is thinking in her pose, what colors she will suppose to slip into when she dresses. Blue feet, blue thighs, blue breasts, blue eyes. When you were distracted, the blue nudes took themselves off the canvas. When you aren't paying attention, they're walking beside you after a ball game, a train station, where the woman next to you looks up at the bald blue sky. Down the tracks they go, into the tunnel, railroad pilings, ballast, thistle, and toes. In a train car in Spokane, there's an assembly of nudes, heads between their knees, rocking, crossing boundaries through the Inland Empire, sleeping to the same sounds my baby wakes to at night, pointing at the window, her mouth in the shape of the smallest O. The muddy prints of a raccoon decorate a rusty rail for a mile, and the nudes follow the tiny painted hands. The animal is eating fish or garbage. The animal is hiding somewhere in the blue dark. Der Himmel. I give a blue moon to the old woman. She places it to her cheek. The moon takes a place on the concrete steps. I give another to a child who names the moon and wants to dress it the color of apples. In an orchard away from here, light among branches spells out letters like those above doors in this street. I am dropping moons in the gutter. They are rolling and falling through drains into dark water they have always belonged to and I'll never see. Rats find the moons and make white nests. When their babies grow old and crawl out of their moons, old men will shout at their silver tails, Pegasus or Libra. Some of the moons have made it to the sea, where seagulls sleep with quarters in their dreams. Do angelfish sink when they die? A moon is in my palm. A piece of sky is dangling from my neck. Limb angel. Autumn is thick with decay, and when dawn arrives wearing a brilliant new frost, the nudes climb to the arms of an oak tree, flesh upon flesh, dangling from fire-dyed branches are blue legs, arms, upside-down faces. One blessing at a time falls to earth. This is what didn't happen. The blue nudes are lost in Alaska. They wander around the woods on a large island full of moose and bear. Large paws are tracked in mud. Hemlocks creak with wind, layers upon layers of moss. The nudes want so badly to lie down in it, feel the damp on their skin. There are blueberries to eat and red squirrels that shout. Ocean rises and falls a few miles from them in any given direction. The nudes feel the breath and hear the creatures with large hearts swim and sing. We must be so close. Do they see wells rise? No. The blue nudes, the lot of them, have formed a circle in the woods after hours of walking. Remember this tree broken here, like this? The nudes continue searching. What if we are never found and we never find? They stagger into a clearing full of feathers and drops of blood. They think of the tide retreating and boats that can take them away. They are moved to pray. They kneel beside a false azalea and ask God to provide a bird to lead them. They pray and pray. Orange answers back. It's not the rain I'm interested in. It's the 12 sunflowers in a vase, the earth covered with orange cancer, the stage, the moment just before thunder. Beak of a water bird, you're giving all credit to red, but I'm grit, I'm surly, like a fish in the lab room. Don't turn your back on me. Slim, seaweed, some kinds of mushrooms. Spread me on your favorite bread and scream. Decaying color, decaying matter, chaos in the corner. Dancing for tourists, bare toes on slick rock, cat's eye, just call me Tom. When the moon is my kind, you'll discover me half naked and wearing feathers. Feed me to the ducks, I'm a cool fire, and only cran. I'm painted on and waiting for my lines. I get my chance once a year and I'm wringing out the quaking aspen hair. Misunderstanding behind every evening. Under every irony, walking the plank, summer giving in and blue giving up. My roots will be the myth of me. Folklore in a butcher shop window, sunflower, the avenue, the brother, Theo. Monarchs migrate, queen of the ponds and fronds, sneezewood, monkey flower. Orange is the sound we wake to and then we dance. Say orange, say I gave Susan her black eyes. Okay. This one, I am going to say a little bit about this poem. This is entitled on New Year's Eve. So this was a sort of a true story where there was a story about this town in Arkansas that on New Year's Day everybody woke up to all of these. There were thousands. There were like 5,000 dead red-winged blackbirds all over town, and an entire flock of them just had gotten. They're not really sure what had happened, if it was fireworks or like something, but it was just like there they were just all these dead birds. And so I was not the only poet that wrote about this. For a few years I would see kind of popping up in journals like a poem here or there about these dead red-winged blackbirds, but in this poem they're not blackbirds, they're blue nudes. On New Year's Eve, 5,000 blue nudes fell down in baby an Arkansas town. It was all over the news. Everyone woke New Year's Day to naked bodies strewn over cold concrete and yards. The blue nudes dropped onto mailboxes, dented cars, their bus posed with spines bent backward, bare to winter. One blue nude fell onto a woman walking her dog around midnight. It both shocked and depressed her. Experts say it might have been fireworks that frightened the nudes, unable to see in the darkness of a coming year. Is this the end? Reporters go away, scientists explain, artists weep, poets write poems about miners and canaries. They try to create a myth or a metaphor to understand. The ending contains blue fingers over blue faces, a feeling that we'll all go on with life even as doomsayer rolls off our grainy tongues. The results are coming in. The experts collect and count the bodies while a mother counts the number on her lawn. She tells her children not to play with the poor dead things. Okay, So I'm probably going to read a couple more poems, but before I do, Katheryn and I are going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to have her talk, and I guess I'll let Willy introduce her. But I just wanted to point out, so I have a couple of the paintings from the book. The original's hanging up behind me on the wall here, so I'll get my head out of the way. And you can see those. So thanks.
That was absolutely gorgeous, Laura. Thank you so much for sharing that work.
Thank you.
Katheryn, are you ready?
I am ready. Okay, so I think I have the full story of how this book came about. I think I have it figured out, Laura. So I wanted to paint Laura's paintings, and I actually did paint paintings before the Blue Nudes because her poems are so full of visual imagery that is so inspiring to me. And I so love words. And I actually love embedding words into paintings. And I don't do it as much as I'd like to, but I really love words. And I wanted to take her poems and put them in my paintings. I wanted to make them come to life. So I actually did some paintings with your poems in them. And then I think that she was working on these Blue Nudes, and I think that we had a conversation in which let's do, I think we both kind of came up with it like this. That's kind of cool, like doing she's responding to an artist's paintings, and I'm an artist responding to her poems, responding to an artist's painting. So it's a very cool idea. And so then and it was about 5-6 years in the process that we kind of were working on it. Anyway, so about Matisse for a minute. I actually have I feel like I have a bit of a relationship with Matisse. My first encounter with Matisse was in college. It was after 2 semesters of rigorous foundations classes when I was working on my BFA, and we could only use black and white. We had all these really intense drawing classes with pencil and charcoal and just all about the line and all about the values, and it was very intense but no color. And then we had our first color class, and that was the end of that first semester. My professor was Bruce Hickson Smith. He's one of my favorite painters alive today. And anyway, he got a great big book, library book. This is 30 years ago, by the way. Library book of Matisse paintings, and he opened up the book, put it on the table, opened up the book, and we're all standing around the book. And he wants us to absorb the brilliance and this painter he's a brilliant colorist, and his compositions are incredible. And I just trusted him. I was like, wow, okay, I got to figure this out. I got to figure out how Matisse is brilliant. And so we did these abstract compositions of these color compositions, and he always had a kind of a color problem. And take the assignment to him, 8 out of 10. Why is this color composition an 8 out of 10? Okay, I gotta go look at Matisse some more. I gotta figure it out. Why is he brilliant? Anyway, I feel like he was kind of a model for me, and I feel like he actually influenced my work over my entire life more than I realized. But I was no stranger to intuitive, kind of interpretive color, because my mother was an abstract artist, and so I looked at her work and I saw how she took that still life in front of her and made it into something else that where she put her own self into it. Anyway, so that's my little history about Matisse. So Matisse he did a lot of figure paintings, and a lot of his figure paintings were very dynamic, a lot of movement. I mean, you think about this painting, this is one of his most famous paintings. Maybe a lot of people don't even know it's his, but it's the one where the people are holding hands and they're in a circle, they're dancing. You know that one? It's called The Dance, and they're moving around. Anyway, lots of movement in his paintings. But the blue nudes are, especially the most famous ones, are actually very confined. They're just like, they're in this box, and they're kind of like double jointed. They're like, you know, in these box sort of frame of the canvas, they're just kind of patiently sitting there in these like confined places. Well, that I believe that's because Matisse, when he painted them, he was ill, and he couldn't paint while he was sick. And so he had these cutouts of figures, and he was using that as his creative outlet and arranging these in different ways. And he was probably feeling confined, I'm thinking. But anyway, so Laura liberated them. They were in this confined place, and she let them out, and then they could wander the planet and explore. And so I just loved that so much. And so as I read and reread her poems, trying to channel this otherworldly creature of the blue nude, I just really felt like they were they were not from our world, and if they're blue, you know, there's nobody blue that lives here, right? And so they're otherworldly, but they're also very innocent, and they're unfettered. They're not confined with the things of this world, and I love that about them. And anyway, so I tried to channel that in the paintings, and I tried to channel this just Matisse's color, which is very, very bold color. Some, not all of it, but it's just he's just what he is, a brilliant colorist. And anyway, so the blue nudes kind of evolved a little bit for me in my mind. I'm thinking every person has a blue nude inside of them. Like, we all have a center that is our original place where we feel things it's when you take away the fear, you take away the worry, you take away the inhibitions, and it's that center what does that center feel, and what does that center desire? That center is a pure place. It's like it feels things unfettered by the world. I believe that everybody has a blue nude inside of them. That's kind of where I've evolved in my thinking about what the blue nudes mean to me. And so I think Laura may be not, I don't know if she's gonna do any more blue nude poems, but I am not finished painting blue nudes. I have several in my head that have just not had the time to come about, and they have expanded my painting vocabulary, and they have stretched me as an artist. So I'm excited to do more. Hopefully we'll have another like event where we can be in person, and it's at that event that I hope that I have some of these paintings finished. But anyway, so that's what I have to say.
Laura, you're gonna hit us with a few more poems?
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun to kind of follow up what Katheryn says with a couple more, and also because she always tells me which one is her favorite, so I've got to read that one. So Katheryn, I heard you say once that with your painting that you'd like to kind of, and I have this line that's being straddled between two different worlds, you know, that like kind of with some other kind of surreal dreamlike place, and then like the earth as we know it, and like crossing those two boundaries. And I think that in essence a lot of what's going on in this book, both with your artwork and with the poems, is trying to do that. So I'm going to respond to a comment in the chat that Hunter mentioned something about the movie Avatar. Where was that comment, Hunter? You've got where'd it go? Okay, that it was the Blue Nudes was the original title of that movie Avatar. And it's funny, I didn't know that was the case, but early on when I very first started writing these poems, and I think it was about 10 years ago when I wrote my first batch of Blue Nude poems, a friend of mine who read one of the poems talked about, she said, you know, I'm thinking a little bit about that movie Avatar, and I thought, crap, I really don't want anyone to think about that movie. So and I thought, okay, when the book, you know, all this time has passed since then, since that movie came out, and so I was hoping no one would ever bring it up. So you're the first one to bring it up. Anyway, we'll see if it happens again. So, but this is the poem I'm gonna read. This is the poem that was the poem that made her think of the movie Avatar. So this is titled Dressed. The Blue Nudes decided to try on differences in skin. Pink didn't go well with their eyes. Green made them jealous and guilty. Red, never mind. The Blue Nudes found snake skin left behind in the land of wandering snakes. They tried the skin on their arms, like the iridescence of scales, the fragrant patterns that glowed like stars. New blue reptilian nude. They preferred dark, slept in shadow, stuck out their tongues and swallowed small animals. Coiled, loved coiling. The Blue Nudes liked the pattern of their new life, the way the hearts of everyone around squirmed like nervous eels. Sumptuous spines. But in time, the Blue Nudes missed the bareness. They wandered the desert in search of emptiness. They found a stage full of bats, kangaroo rats, and the dead limbs of cacti spread across sand. The Nudes were in awe with the way blue skin could disappear and reappear at sunset. We all held our breath. In the portrait, the Nudes are not rats, running across the tracks in the subway in the dark, the things we think we see with silver tails and eyes that glow in the blue black. We can hear them eating, but don't want to believe it's them, hiding behind the trash. They're lined up while we wait for the train, pennies in hand, the flat gold splash. So the last poem I'm going to read is titled Absence, and it is the poem that is paired up with the painting that is actually the cover art for the book. So there it is. Sorry, there's a glare. So that's Katheryn's painting that goes with this poem, and we'll end there. Absence. Blue Nudes hide in the wheat fields, all that rolling green. During the day, occasionally you'll see a body stand waist deep or a head lift up from the swaying, feathery tops of grain. They lie down in it and believe their secrets kept. Watch from the corner of your eyes at night. They come out, they stand and see no one and continue walking with their hands, palms down, the young wheat barely touching that skin. The moon is a sliver hiding in blackness above them. The stars falling clockwise as their bare feet turn slightly in the same direction until they remember that North Star and perfect ladle offering anyone a sip of universe, if they will take it.